What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, what moved it today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi had a pretty solid day, went up 3.38%, as did the broader market. So Dow went up 0.63, NASDAQ 1.26%, and S&P up 0.81. So overall, a lot of optimism. In SoFi's case, we did have about 67 million shares being traded, so good amount of volume. A lot of that volume still did come from algorithmic trading, no different than it has over the last several weeks. So AI has been largely the culprit on why we have been going down, and I guess ultimately why we started to kind of move higher. As why I mentioned in my video yesterday, I do believe a lot of this optimism from yesterday stemmed from Meta and AMD, because these types of deals, if you read between the lines, it kind of signals a lot of optimism for the foreseeable future. And if actual companies were fearful, legitimate fear about the foreseeable future, they don't do these types of things. Plus, what Trump mentioned at his speech last night, so Microsoft, Amazon, that in among itself is fairly optimistic. So tech and AI getting a nice little boost higher, and SoFi is just piggybacking off of that. Plus, we also did have comments from Coinbase's CEO about them expanding into 24-hour trading for equities, and then Robinhood's CEO signaling that they're going to be expanding more into cryptocurrency. Generally very bullish for the overall sector. So all in all, pretty good stuff. SoFi, there wasn't really anything crazy that did come out as of late. So SoFi has just been merely piggybacking off the broader market. I don't think anyone's really complaining, mind you. Today we didn't really have that crazy of data. The big data point for this week is going to be on Friday when we have the PPI. Shorts, though, there was a lot of activity from them. So 9.87% of the free float's being shorted. So shorts did increase 13.5 million shares. And I'm sure some of you might be wondering why and how did it jump up to 9.87%? 2 times per month, the NASDAQ does disclose the true amount of shares being shorted. It's always delayed, but that was recently disclosed. So as of February the 12th, shorts did, there was about 123.21 million. So between January the 29th and February the 12th, shorts did increase a good about 8-9 million shares. So ultimately, going back over here, while SoFi was getting slammed, so between the 29th and February the 12th, which ultimately, I'll give you an exact amount. So between this time period, SoFi went down 21.54%. During that time, shorts did increase 8 million shares more than what we thought. And this is why I always go over transactions that did occur on the dark pool, because that's where a lot of sketchiness does happen. So yeah, definitely very interesting type of stuff when it comes down to that. So like I said, right now we are now sitting at like the, was it 9.91. So shorts are still kind of increasing a little bit after hours. So right now it's sitting at 14.07 million shares. Aside from that, looking at the options today, 28 million in calls, 16 in puts. So kind of low dollar value a little bit, but 40% of all the options being done today were bearish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be around 20 by the end of this week. Bears are anticipating for it to be between the 1850 and 19. So where we kind of landed, it could go either direction. But as I mentioned at the very beginning, we did have some pretty good transactions. So largest on the secondary market being 27.6, 10.9, 3.3, all of which were buys. So anything with a ask right here was a buy. Anything with a bid essentially was a sell. Dark pool, we did have a good handful of large transactions. So 42.4 million, that was the largest one that was done pretty much right after market close. We did have a nice pop higher. And I do believe right now Nvidia is putting out their earnings. So this is going to be a very big deal for tomorrow, mind you. And it looks like it's mixed. We had a nice little push higher and now it looks like it's going down. I haven't really looked into their earnings all that much, but this is ultimately going to be a very, very big deal for the market tomorrow. But aside from that, with it closing at 1929, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 1918 followed by 1861 is going to be support levels. Flip side, if we do get some good momentum and continuing on, 1975 and then 2010 is going to be the next strong target / resistance point. So hats off to those individuals that did buy the dip. I myself, I didn't buy anything more. I still have my puts I've been selling, and actually I do believe I have another one that is expiring this week at the $19 strike price. So kind of wait and see how that does play out. Maybe I'll get more shares, or maybe I'll just get to keep my premium, but I guess regardless, I get to keep my premium. Nonetheless, aside from that, on the actual chart itself, we're finally seeing a little bit of optimism. So it landed exactly on that 10-day moving average. So signaling that we're having a little bit of momentum starting to build. Last time that did occur was pretty much February the 10th, and then we rejected off of that and we just went down lower. We all kind of generally know what happened. So tomorrow again is going to be a very big deal, and most likely is going to largely rely on Nvidia's earnings. So if we can actually get above that 10-day moving average for 2 consecutive days, then this is where we could start to see a fairly nice recovery. Aside from that, stochastic RSI is at 58, so a little bit neutral, not really considered overbought nor oversold. Market position, you see a little bit more willing buyer, surprisingly enough. And SoFi, you can kind of see that up to around $20, there's a lot of willing sellers. But if SoFi can get above that for whatever reason, just get a nice gentle push, then you could see things similarly go up very, very fast, start to kind of snowball just up. So kind of, yeah, interesting stuff. As I've stated way back, even in the 30s, and as I've mentioned, 20s and lower. Best thing that you need to do with SoFi is just dollar cost average. It has some crazy price action. And if you are, for instance, buying a lot on margin, this sell-off right here would have been a absolute killer. But again, the best thing that you can do is just dollar cost average. There hasn't been any new articles or anything speculative that did come out. So let me know your general thoughts. Have you been buying? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.